A fiery monster loomed ahead as the group to meet the threat. A fiery creature charged at the young man, but he stood his ground as a supportive voice urged him to slow down and promised unwavering support. The fiery monster roared, pressing the dark-haired young man to confront the danger ahead. A warm glow surrounded the kneeling, dark-haired young man as he held a smiling girl's hand and quietly showed his affection. Fierce energy erupted as the girls rushed forward together, determined to protect their brother and bring down the monster. The battlefield crackled with energy as the light-haired young man declared that he would defeat the Silver-tier boss and surpass his rivals. Blue energy surged around the alert, dark-haired young man, catching him completely off guard. A bright force dragged at the dark-haired young man as he struggled against its grip. The air tightened as Qin unleashed his instant shadow slash against an unseen enemy. Tension mounted as the dark-haired young man braced himself against the sudden attack from an unseen force. A sudden scream shattered the air, sending shockwaves through the nearby group. 3 people cried out in panic, urgently calling for Qin. A powerful force tore through the panel, leaving Qin and the others stunned by the chaos before them. Triumphant, the dark-haired young man stood over the fallen twin-headed, victory surging through him. Qin had slain the beast, gained a large amount of experience points, and surveyed the battlefield strewn with fallen players. A stunned onlooker watched as Qin unleashed a powerful spell that erased the boss in an instant. A mysterious figure wiped out Song and his squad in a single move, leaving the crowd in awe. They guessed the assassin had to be Shadow, urged others to let the expert take the loot, and realized how afraid everyone was of betrayal. A grand clock tower stood under the bright sky, calm and imposing above the turmoil below. The realization that he had died hit him hard, and moments later he wondered how his brother had died too. A cheerful girl eagerly invited a boy to join her party, excitement rising in her voice. A curious young man listened closely, while another observer watched the exchange with interest. A tense standoff unfolded as the dark-haired young man faced the dismissive mages blocking his path. They rejected him for fear he would disrupt their ranking, but he still insisted that love could overcome the obstacles. Qin held the girl's hand and encouraged her to follow her passion and join their cause. Tears streamed down the dark-haired young man's face as he confessed his deep love for his brother. Energy filled the air as a confident young woman with a stick eagerly shared her stealth plan with Brother Song. Qin spread his arms and invited everyone to share in the celebration of love and unity. Emotions overflowed as a tearful young woman praised her brother's gentleness, and another urged them to follow Song without regret. Furious voices rose as one of them vowed revenge against Shadow and blamed him for their brother's suffering. Qin boasted that he could defeat Shadow, insisting even the strongest lone wolf would fall before a noble mage like him. Ominous energy surged as a powerful hand thrust forward, signaling that confrontation was close. The dark surroundings flickered with energy as the determined young man activated a glowing skill. The determined character studied the glowing document and weighed how best to use his remaining evolution points. A cloaked figure stood in the barren landscape, carefully reviewing his skill allocation. The cloaked figure stood in the desolate landscape, reflecting on how much he had gained before deciding it was time to head back. A tense standoff unfolded as a fierce woman lunged at the calm, focused, dark-haired young man with her weapon outstretched. A cloaked figure swung his weapon fiercely toward the unseen Shadow, determination radiating from every motion. The scene tightened with tension as the dark-haired young man drew his glowing weapon against an unseen adversary. A hidden attacker swung a sword at the alert, dark-haired young man, but he narrowly avoided the strike and kept his focus. The dark-haired young man shouted in frustration and launched himself at the elusive Shadow figure in a desperate attack. One sister drew her bow, the other raised her fists, and both swore to avenge their fallen brother with unwavering resolve. Tension hung in the air as the dark-haired young man prepared to confront the glowing creature. Qin cried out for vengeance for Brother Song, while his ally insisted they could still track its stealth. The dark-haired young man charged forward as magical energy swirled around him. His confident ally urged the team to unleash their strongest skills, and another ally roared a battle cry to rally everyone. The dark-haired young man dodged colorful projectiles, while a startled woman cried out for everyone to wait. An angry man in a dark cloak claimed that a woman had never truly loved and called it divine retribution. A gray-haired woman suggested using eagle eye to find shadow, and a man in blue agreed. A hand gripped the bell as its energy pulsed through the tense air. Qin activated it and unleashed a wave of immobilizing power. Panic washed over the dark-haired young man when he realized he could not move at all. A dark tendril lashed out, and the dark-haired young man recoiled in fear as a nearby woman screamed at the unseen threat. Fierce energy surged around the dark-haired young man as he unleashed a powerful slashing attack at an unseen target. A spectral figure materialized, casting an ominous shadow as the dark-haired young man watched in shock. Shock washed over the dark-haired young man as he questioned the sudden deaths around him. A magical shield erupted around the dark-haired young man, who steeled himself to face the looming threat. Shards of glass exploded around Qin, leaving him shaken and struggling to make sense of the chaos. A hooded figure loomed over the injured dark-haired young man as shards of glass scattered across the floor. A cloaked figure stood among the glowing orbs, calculating the targets and noting that it exceeded 2,000 tradable days. The cloaked figure stood in the desolate landscape, thinking about how much the fangirls had wasted as Qin looked on in disappointment. Frustration filled the air as the dark-haired young man lamented how little time he had left to confront the elusive shadow. Worry replaced frustration as the dark-haired young man wondered if he would be targeted again after the last confrontation and even feared it might be jealousy over his looks. The others crowded around him and insisted they would follow anywhere for safety. A shadowy figure watched from above a building as Qin stood frozen in thought. The dark-haired young man stood in the empty plaza, confused by the absence of Song and his group. A shadowy figure stood silently behind the startled dark-haired man and asked about Song's whereabouts, its calm presence only deepening the unease. Qin pleaded for help, desperate to protect his girlfriend from Song's wrath. A confident figure in black offered the dark-haired young man a magical staff, promising power in exchange for a steep price. The dark-haired young man grinned widely as he proudly showcased a sparkling gold-tier staff. Urgency filled the air as the dark-haired young man told someone to hurry, and the blonde character nodded in determination. A mysterious figure stood in the shadows, intriguing and unsettling as they faced the curious dark-haired young man. Qin asked what they knew about the staff and what they wanted from him. A woman in a black robe gestured dismissively toward the flying creature, showing complete indifference. A sudden revelation struck the dark-haired young man, leaving him visibly shocked. A large, ghostly figure with wings hovered over the desolate town, casting an ominous shadow below. The desolate landscape broke with a sudden burst of excitement as Qin shouted that he had found Song. A cloaked figure rushed forward with urgency as an eagle soared overhead. Qin said he had found Song's coordinates, warned that they might have moved, and asked to be added as a friend for tracking updates. He wondered how long he needed to keep watching, then said it would not take more than a moment. A swirling dust cloud danced around the determined young man as he walked through the canyon with steady focus. A tense silence filled the air as Qin reacted sharply to an unseen threat. A cloaked figure stood still in the canyon, alert as shadows moved around him while he watched for lurking dangers. A cloaked figure questioned the dark-haired young man about the nearby trees and told him to take a closer look around. A hazy landscape stretched ahead, marked by glowing distances, as an unknown speaker told the observant expert that 2 targets were ahead. The dark-haired young man ignited a glowing flame in his hand and approached the wooden surface with unwavering focus. A glowing symbol pulsed softly on the tree, captivating the dark-haired young man as he reached out to examine the strange mark. A cloaked figure pointed at the glowing symbol surrounded by flames, deepening the mystery of the scene. A glowing treasure chest appeared in the desolate landscape, and a lucky adventurer exclaimed that it was the blessing of an ancient god. A glowing owl soared through the air, illuminating the symbols and sparking the young man's curiosity. He studied them carefully, deciding he had to memorize them and trusting his scouting skills to reveal even more hidden secrets. A mischievous laugh escaped him at the possibilities. A glowing treasure chest stood in the desolate landscape, radiating an inviting light that promised untold power. Qin opened the treasure chest, revealing a skill book titled Blossoming Curse. Qin stood in the desolate landscape, studying the glowing skill book with a determined expression. Qin summoned flames and unleashed a fierce elemental attack at the roaring creature charging back at him. The alley was thick with tension as shadows loomed around them, and Qin's voice cut through the anxiety. He reassured his companions that the shadowy figure should no longer be able to chase them, relief and concern still mixed in his voice after the escape. Fierce determination filled the air as Qin vowed to confront the shadow that haunted him, while his brother pointed excitedly toward a distant battle against a formidable boss. A fierce group prepared to confront the supposed fans of, driven by anger and determination. The aggressor spotted familiar faces and screamed for his sisters to charge, while reinforcements rushed in to protect their brother's ranking. Urgency flared as a young woman urged her allies to finish off the nearly defeated boss together. A fierce, passionate young man screamed defiantly and prepared to charge into battle against his opponent. A mysterious figure swung a large weapon down with brutal force, aiming straight at the brave young man. Tension rose as the determined young man showed a glowing book to a shocked woman. Along could hardly believe what he was seeing and questioned the young man's sanity and intentions. A dark figure loomed ominously, revealing the grim fate awaiting fans as the group stood frozen in fear and disbelief. A mysterious figure drew closer as a frustrated woman admitted she was confused about and overwhelmed by the chaos. A scream pierced the air as the dark-haired young man cried out in horror, desperate to save from the incoming attack. The air crackled with energy as a bold, charismatic leader his group for the battle ahead, urging them to rise and conquer. The creature raised its arms and summoned elemental energies around it. One dark-haired young man watched in fear, while another stood ready with his shield, nerves on edge. Chaos erupted as a fearsome creature lunged at the dark-haired young man. Relief filled the air as the dark-haired young man thanked his family for saving him from the ambush. A joyful group gathered and sang praises too, embracing the moment with enthusiasm. A cloaked figure loomed with dark energy swirling around him, casting an unsettling shadow over the battlefield as he prepared for the coming confrontation. Dark energy swirled through the desolate landscape, threatening to consume everything in its path. Tension crackled as Qin faced an unseen threat, determination etched into his features, while song urgently called for him. A dark figure unleashed blue energy, sending shockwaves through the terrified crowd, while Qin stood frozen, aware of the chaos he had caused. A panicking character reached out as fear gripped him and dark energy swirled around them, calling for his brother in desperation. A massive red flower towered ominously, casting a shadow over the determined young man as he focused on channeling energy into it. Red energy spiraled menacingly as the three characters reacted in terror. One screamed in shock, another yelled in confusion, and a third shouted in horror as they realized the danger they faced. If you'd like to see your favorite titles retold, leave a comment and I'll be sure to pick some of them up from time to time. Also, let me know which video format you like more, long videos or short ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you again soon.